What's up, guys? I'm Matt Reisinger.
I'm Tim Hill.
Tim Hill, if you don't know, is my business partner in my building company. He's got 40 years plus of home building experience. I've got 30. And, you know, between the two of us, we're a little bit of junior mechanics. We kind of like to understand what the electricians and the HVAC guys are doing. So we're going to use a little bit of knowledge to tell you about this system right here. This is brand new from Champion. This is an auxiliary panel with an inlet box so that in an emergency, when the grid power is down, you could actually power a good portion of your house with just a portable generator as opposed to a standby generator. This even includes a manual transfer switch. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about today. Today's Build Show is sponsored by Champion. Let's get going. Okay, Tim, so we've had some crazy power outages. In fact, we put a lot of standby generators in for clients, but let's be honest, that's a decent investment. There's a few bucks involved when you put a home standby generator. On the other hand, this setup with a portable generator, you can do a lot for your house. How much of your house could you power with a system like this?
Well, it depends. Different systems can feed up to, I'd say, 50 amps safely with a portable generator. The two models we have here is one is set up for 30 amps and one is set up for 50 amps. And different generators could interface with them and feed the house with the appropriate amount of current. But it depends on the house itself and the clients and what their needs are.
Sure.
So there are a lot of options. Champion seems to offer a good array of products to fit just about any option that a client might need.
Indeed, and what's cool about these is we've got, as Tim said, the 50 and the 30. It's marked right on the front. But what you get is you get this auxiliary panel. This is your generator panel, so to speak. It includes a manual transfer switch. It includes an inlet box, and they even give you a power cord in the box so that you can plug your portable generator into this. This is basically a plug on the outside of your house that when you flap this open, the power's down. You plug in your generator. You make sure that generator is in a nice safe space away from your windows and doors. You fire up that generator, and then it's going to send power into your house through this panel. And then you're going to hit this manual transfer switch. If you had a home standby generator like I have from Champion, I've got an automatic transfer switch. This is a manual though, so I got to do a little bit of work here. But again, we're going to save a lot of money compared to a bigger system. The lights on here are pretty cool. When the utility power is on, when the grid power is on, this is going to be green. But let's say that goes dark. That means I've got no power from the utility. Now I'm going to want to fire up my generator, plug it in, and now this light is going to go blue on us, and we're just going to have to hit this button right here, and it's going to manually transfer power from the grid to my generator. And then this is going to feed these circuits. Now, Tim, talk to me about the setup, because this needs to be mounted inside somewhere, and this could be recessed into the wall, or it could be wall mounted. But what's it look like when the electrician mounts this into either an existing house or a new construction house?
Well, they need to mount it within a relatively close distance to their breaker panel.
Yeah.
So that each of these circuits, identified by different color-coded wires, can be interfaced with the circuits in the panel itself.
Makes sense.
And so what happens is, as the power comes in from the temporary power source generator, it backfeeds through the appropriate circuit breakers and into the circuit breaker panel that's normally operational in the home, and feeds each one of those circuits depending upon which one you choose.
So in other words, your, let's say, 200 amp or 100 amp main panel, you're going to have a breaker, a 50 amp breaker, let's say, in there that's going to be fed to this. So when grid power is on, it's feeding power through here to those circuits.
That's right. But individual circuits within that panel, whether they're 110 circuits, single pole, or 220 circuits, you would choose which ones you want to feed with these individual circuits. This one looks like it has 8 circuits total. The 30 amp looks like it has 7 circuits total.
Yep.
And they range from 20 amps to 30 amp.
110 and 220.
110 and 220. And an electrician will need to do the calculations of which circuits you're going to feed and what breakers are appropriate to feed those circuits with.
That makes sense. So in other words, when you were, let's say before you put this in, if you had a power outage, you might have had a generator outside. You ran some cords inside. You were able to plug in some lights. You could charge your phone or your laptop. Maybe you could even plug in your internet. But you weren't able to plug in, let's say, your furnace fan or some other hardwired appliances in your house. This, on the other hand, is going to feed those and take care of that. So now, if you're in, let's say, Minnesota, the power's out in December, it's 2 degrees outside, I can run my generator, I can feed the power through this panel to my gas furnace, and now my gas furnace is going to be able to run the blower fan, use the natural gas for the heat or the propane, whatever the case is, and this is going to feed it and give it the energy it needs to run that fan, that squirrel cage, which is inside there. Tim, I'm curious, how do you figure out which model you might need? I guess that's really going to be the electrician that's helping you with that, right?
It is, and again, what your needs are. If you really all you want is your refrigerator, your freezer, and some lighting circuits, 30 amps is probably fine.
Yeah, makes sense.
If you want to actually run an air conditioning unit or a heat pump, you're going to need a 50 amp transfer switch.
Yeah. Hey y'all, I'm out in the field at Luke's house. One of my project managers is building a house for his family, and he's got a Champion manual transfer switch. Let me show you his setup just so you can kind of see what it looks like in the field. So in his garage, he's got his main circuit panel, his main breaker box. We're still under construction, so he still has his cardboard just to shield it from overspray. But next to his main panel, this will be the Champion emergency panel, I think is the right word for this. So this will have his emergency breakers mounted right here. We're not energized, by the way. And this will have the manual transfer switch. So you'll be able to tell, hey, we're on shore power, line power, or here we're on generator power, and we'll be able to transfer from one to the other, and the emergency breakers will come in here. Now this is the 30 amp model. And then outside, he'll have his generator running, at least a good distance from this garage. He's actually planning to shut the garage when the generator's running, and then his plug is going right here. So this wire is going to energize that manual transfer switch in that sub panel, and he'll have the 30 amp exterior rated surface mount on there so that he can plug right in. Now you can certainly mount those on the outside. Tim's house has his mounted on the outside. When I did this in the past, I mounted mine on the outside. But I kind of like Luke's idea. Plug it in, close the garage door, keep that thing 20 feet away or so that you've got no issues with fumes getting in the house. And then it's certainly protected from the weather and everything's inside the garage. I guess the only thing I want to mention here was, remember when the power goes back on, the utility comes back on, you're going to see this green light come on your panel. That's when you're going to go outside, you're going to turn off your generator, you're going to unplug this, and then you're going to feed this manual button, you're going to hit the manual button, I should say, to go back to grid power. So this is a manual transfer switch as opposed to an automatic transfer switch. Much lower cost though, and we can run it on a portable generator, as we said before. Let's switch gears, Tim, and run through this portable generator that we've got from Champion that's a tri-fuel, and talk about how it integrates to these inlet switches.
Great.
Okay guys, this is our Champion 8,000 watt tri-fuel, and obviously tri-fuel meaning gasoline like a normal generator might be, portable generator. This will also run on propane, and they've added the tri now, which is natural gas. Now, Tim, the output in this is going to vary a little bit depending on the fuel source, but talk me through this power cord that comes with that transfer switch and how it would work to actually power up the house.
This particular generator is compatible with the 30 amp transfer switch because it has a 30 amp 220 twist lock connection built into it.
Got it.
It also has a 30 amp 110 twist lock connection for like an RV connection.
My RV.
Right.
Yeah.
As well as some standard 110 220 amp connections, GFI protected as well.
Yeah, this would be great for camping too.
It would. It's got a lot of uses. That's the reason it's portable. Not only could you use it to temporarily power your house in an outage, but you could put it in the back of your truck and take it camping or take it to the job site, frame a whole house with it.
Makes sense.
A lot of uses.
And then how does this cord work in terms of that inlet box that we talked about earlier?
Well, the inlet box we have that comes with the 30 amp, here again, 4-pin 30 amp twist lock. The twist lock plug that comes with the transfer switch is set up so that it can only be inserted in one direction. Note that one pin has an L-shaped configuration so that the pins only line up in a certain way.
So you can only push it in.
Push them in and then slightly twist it to the right to lock it in place. You can also lock it more permanently with the screw-on ring.
Okay, that makes sense.
That way it can't get pulled out.
And then this plug right here is what's plugging into this 220 30 amp, which then is, when this is started, is then going to power your house on the outside.
That's right.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
This fat cord is for the 50 amp. God, that's a beast. That's heavy. What gauge wire is that, do you think?
It's probably 6-gauge wire.
That's serious business. That's an expensive cord.
It is. This generator doesn't have the typical range plug configuration, but the larger generators do.
Yeah.
That's a 50 amp range plug.
Yeah. Which a lot of, some of the bigger RVs have that, is that right?
That's right. If you had a large Class A RV, that's what it would be powered with.
Is that 50 amp. So if you buy the 50 amp panel, make sure that you get a generator that's compatible with this style of cord.
Right.
What did we miss, Tim? Anything?
I think that's it. I think it's a great setup for a nominal cost compared to a permanent generator permanently mounted to the house, and it has the flexibility of putting it in the back of your truck and taking it to use it elsewhere.
Yeah, it makes sense. But the big thing to remember here is this is not a DIY project. Tim and I have some knowledge, but we get our electrician Rick when we're doing projects. You want to get your electrician out and do that. But with that package from Champion that includes that manual transfer switch, the panel that's your generator panel, and this cord and that inlet, I would suspect in most projects or a lot of projects with 1 day of electrician time, you could be set up so that when the power goes out, your family is going to be safe in that outage, and you're going to be heroes like Tim and I were on the last outages for our families.
Right.
Guys, big thanks to Champion for sponsoring today's video. We'll have a link to both the panels and this particular generator. They've been a big Build Show supporter over the last couple years, and I really appreciate my friendship with them. They make great equipment at a great value price. Want to learn more? Link in the description. Otherwise, hit that subscribe button. We've got new content here every Tuesday and every Friday. Follow us on TikTok or Instagram. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on the Build Show.